Have you ever poured your heart and soul into a relationship, like genuinely trying to show your love, only to feel like your efforts are completely missed? Or maybe wondered why that amazing initial spark you felt, maybe right after the wedding, seems to just, well, evaporate? It's something a lot of people experience.
Yeah, that exact feeling, that sense of love just sort of evaporating after the wedding, that's precisely the puzzle that got Dr. Gary Chapman started on his groundbreaking work, The Five Love Languages.
Hmm.
He spent years counseling couples hitting that same wall.
Hmm.
And the solution he found, well, it's incredibly simple, but also kind of counterintuitive for a lot of us,
Yeah.
basically. People speak different love languages.
Okay.
So today we're going to unpack Chapman's core ideas, give you a bit of a shortcut to understanding this fundamental truth, so you can hopefully stop feeling like you're talking past your partner and, start really connecting.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that. Chapman starts with this story, right? About a guy on a plane, seat 5A. He'd been married 3 times, and every single time, same story. The love just vanished. And he was genuinely trying to show love, or so he thought, but it kept falling apart. What is going on there? Is love just doomed to fade?
That really hits the core question, doesn't it? Dr. Chapman explains this using what he calls the in-love experience. He describes it as this temporary emotional high, like a romantic obsession almost. For a while, it creates this illusion that everything's perfect, you're totally in sync.
Right, that honeymoon phase feeling.
Exactly. It feels incredibly real, overwhelming even.
Mm-hmm.
But research he cites from Dr. Dorothy Ten suggests the average lifespan of that intense euphoric stage is only about 2 years.
2 years, wow.
Yeah. He even says it's like we're sort of tricked into signing our names on the dotted line, for better or for worse, by this feeling.
So it's like a natural high, almost instinctual, but it's not built to last for like a whole marriage.
Precisely. It's a natural high, sure, but Chapman sees it as more of a quick fix for a much deeper human need. He uses this great metaphor, the emotional love tank. Imagine everyone, kids, adults, has this internal tank that needs to be filled with love to feel secure and connected.
Okay, I like that visual.
When the tank's full, you feel good, right? You thrive. But when it's empty, well, that leads to feelings of emptiness, maybe acting out, searching for love in maybe not so healthy ways. The in-love feeling, it fills the tank, but only temporarily. It doesn't build the foundation to keep it full.
Ah, okay. And that's where the man on the plane went wrong. He was sincere, but...
Exactly. Sincerity wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Chapman notes he was using affirming words with his third wife, telling her how beautiful she was, how much he loved her, genuine stuff. But, and this is the key quote, she did not understand his language. He was broadcasting love on one frequency, and she was tuned to another.
So it wasn't a lack of love, it was a communication breakdown, like trying to speak French to someone who only gets Spanish.
That's a perfect analogy. Chapman argues we fundamentally overlooked this simple truth. People speak different love languages. Just like you have a native spoken language, you have a primary emotional language. And if you're pouring your heart out in your language, but it's not their language, the message just doesn't get through.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting then. If we're all using these different emotional languages, what are they? What do they actually look like?
Right. So based on all those years of counseling, Dr. Chapman identified 5 main ways people express and receive love emotionally. They are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch.
Okay, 5.
Yep, 5 distinct languages. And figuring out yours and your partner's, that's the crucial first step.
Okay, that makes sense conceptually, but could you maybe walk us through one or two? Give an example, because it really sounds like you could be trying so hard but just completely missing the mark if you don't know this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's start with words of affirmation. This isn't just, casually saying I love you.
Yeah.
For someone whose main language is this, it's about specific, unprompted, verbal compliments and appreciation. Think encouraging words, kind words, humble words, like requests, not demands.
Right.
Chapman tells this really powerful story about a woman named Allison. She loved writing, had talent, but she'd basically given up after getting a rejection slip, felt discouraged.
Yeah, that happens.
Well, years later, her husband Keith found one of her old articles. And he didn't just say, oh, this is nice. He said, with great enthusiasm, something like, Allison, you are an excellent writer. This stuff ought to be published.
Wow.
Those specific, encouraging words, they weren't just nice. For her, they were like lifeblood.
Yeah.
They reignited her passion. She started writing again, got published, even got a book contract. His words literally changed her path because they spoke her language.
That's an amazing example. It really shows the power of specific words, doesn't it? Not just generic praise. But what if your partner isn't really a words person? Like, I remember reading about Bill and Betty Joe from Little Rock. Words didn't work for her, right? What was her language?
Right, great transition. That brings us to quality time. And this one is often misunderstood. Betty Jo's complaint wasn't that Bill didn't say nice things. She said, Bill is a good provider, but he doesn't spend any time with me. She felt the house, the things, were pointless if they weren't enjoyed together.
Okay. So she wanted his time.
Yes, but more than just his physical presence, she craved his undivided attention. That's the key to quality time. Chapman defines it not as just like watching TV in the same room, but sitting on the couch with the TV off, looking at each other and talking. Giving someone your focused attention. He puts it beautifully. When I sit on the couch with my wife and give her 20 minutes of my undivided attention, we are giving each other 20 minutes of life.
Wow. Giving each other life. That's pretty deep.
It is. It's about that focused togetherness. It could be quality conversation, really listening, asking questions, understanding feelings or quality activities, where the activity is just the vehicle for being together and focused on each other.
That makes so much sense. It's not just being nearby, it's being with someone. I'm thinking about that other couple you mentioned, Jean and Norm. Married 35 years. Norm was always doing stuff for her, cooking, yard work, fixing things. But Jean felt totally unloved. She just wanted him to sit and talk. That's it, right? Different languages again?
Absolutely. Jean and Norm are a classic example. His language was clearly acts of service. Hers was quality time, both loving, both missing the mark.
Yeah.
Which actually leads us nicely into the next one, receiving gifts.
Right. Now, this one can sound a bit materialistic.
It can, but Chapman is really clear it's not about the cost. He says a gift is something you can hold in your hand and say, look, he was thinking of me. Or she, of course. It's the thought, the effort, the tangible symbol that says, I remembered you, I care. It could be a flower picked from the garden, not necessarily something expensive.
Okay, the symbol.
But there's another layer he talks about, the gift of self or the gift of presence. This can be incredibly powerful. He shares the story of Don and Jan. Don missed the birth of their baby because he went to play softball. And later, right after Jan's mother's funeral service, he went to play softball again.
Oh, wow. That's rough.
Yeah. Don was apparently sincere, thought he needed the stress relief, but Jan felt completely deserted. For her, in those critical moments, his presence would have been the most meaningful gift imaginable. It spoke volumes, just not the volumes he intended.
Whoa, that really hits home. Just being there, that's huge. Okay, what about the last two, acts of service and physical touch?
Right. So acts of service is pretty straightforward conceptually. It's doing things you know your partner would like you to do. Helping out, taking initiative. Think cooking a meal, taking out the trash without being asked, fixing that leaky faucet, getting the car washed, things that require planning, time, effort.
Like Norm, the husband we mentioned earlier.
Exactly like Norm. And Chapman points out there can even be different dialects within this language, like maybe washing the car means love to one person, while making the bed means love to another. It's about learning those specific actions that speak loudest.
Gotcha. Specific actions and physical touch. That feels pretty universal, doesn't it?
It does seem universal, but its weight as a primary love language really varies. We know touch is vital for babies, right? For healthy emotional development.
Yeah.
For adults, it's things like holding hands, kissing, embracing, sexual intimacy, even just a comforting hand on the shoulder. But the key insight here is that not all touches are created equal. What feels loving and connecting to one person might not to another, or might even feel intrusive depending on the context or mood.
So communication is key, even with touch.
Absolutely. Your partner is the best guide. And Chapman makes a crucial point about touch in times of crisis. He says, almost instinctively, we hug each other. Your words may mean little, but your physical touch will communicate that you care. It's a powerful, often silent language of comfort and connection.
Okay, this framework, it makes a lot of sense. But playing devil's advocate here for a second, isn't some of this just, well, common sense repackaged? Like, be nice to your partner, pay attention, help out.
That's a really fair question.
Yeah.
And yeah, on the surface, some elements sound familiar. But I think the power of Chapman's framework isn't just saying, be nice. It's providing a specific structure and language to understand how love is perceived differently. It highlights why sincere efforts often fail. It gives you concrete categories to identify the disconnect.
Okay, fair enough. It provides the why and the how. But what about those really tough situations where maybe one partner is totally checked out, maybe even hostile? Does this love language stuff still apply if you've lost all the warm feelings or if there's just bitterness?
Yeah, that's the really challenging scenario, and Chapman absolutely addresses it. He calls it loving the unlovely. He shares this striking story of a woman named Anne. She literally asked him, "Is it possible to love someone whom you hate?" Her husband, Glenn, was constantly critical, just negative, and flat out refused counseling.
Wow. Hate is a strong word.
It is. And Chapman's response was pretty radical. He told her, fundamentally, love is a choice. He argued that we are creatures of choice. We can actually choose to act in loving ways, even when the feelings, anger, resentment, hate even, are screaming the opposite.
Okay, wait, so you can choose to love even if you don't feel it. That kind of goes against everything we normally think about love being this spontaneous feeling.
It totally does. It challenges that whole romantic ideal that love is just something that happens to us. Chapman pushes back on that. He basically set up an experiment with Anne. She agreed to try, for 6 months, to consistently speak Glenn's primary love languages, which they figured out were physical touch and words of affirmation. This meant initiating intimacy, offering compliments, and crucially, she stopped complaining to him. She wrote her complaints down in a notebook and it did.
That must have been incredibly difficult.
Immensely. But Chapman emphasizes this distinction, love as an action versus love as a feeling. He argues it's not hypocritical to act lovingly if your genuine intention is for the other person's well-being, to try and fill their tank. His point is often, our actions preceded our emotions. You act first, the feelings might follow.
Did they? What happened with Anne and Glenn?
It was pretty remarkable, according to the book. Over those 6 months, Glenn's attitude apparently changed drastically. He softened, became more responsive. Eventually, he started asking her to go to counseling with him. Acting out of love, even when she didn't feel it, created a climate where positive change could happen, and her own feelings eventually started to rekindle. It shows how choosing love can actually make the difference.
That is, wow. That's a really powerful story. It suggests action can genuinely pave the way for feelings to return. That totally reframes things. And this whole concept is not just for romantic partners, is it? Chapman applies it to kids too, right?
Oh, absolutely. The principles are universal. He gives really practical advice for parents. When kids are little, he says, you probably don't know their primary language yet. So his advice, pour on all 5 and you're bound to hit it. Just shower them with all forms of love.
Makes sense. Cover all the bases.
Yeah. And then as they grow, you watch them. How do they naturally show love? What do they ask for most often? What makes their eyes light up when you do it? A kid constantly giving you little drawings might be speaking receiving gifts. A kid who always wants to snuggle is likely physical touch.
So it's about observing their signals, not just giving love the way we like to receive it.
Exactly. And it's incredibly important for their emotional health. Chapman cites another expert, Dr. Ross Campbell, who believed that almost all sexual misconduct in adolescence is rooted in an empty emotional love tank, end quote. Feeling unloved can lead kids down dangerous paths, seeking validation. Chapman also points out how parents often praise little kids constantly, but as they get older, sometimes that shifts to focusing only on failures or criticisms. For a child whose language is words of affirmation, that shift can be devastating. Understanding their language is key to keeping their tank full and helping them feel secure.
That's crucial, really vital for parents to keep in mind.
Okay, so if there's one core takeaway from all this, maybe the most important thing to remember, it's this. Our deepest emotional need isn't just to fall in love. It's to feel genuinely loved by another person. And that kind of lasting love, Chapman argues, grows more from reason and choice than just from instinct or that temporary in-love high. The key to building that, the secret sauce for a lasting connected relationship, is learning to identify and then consistently speak your partner's primary emotional love language. Like Chapman says, love is a choice, and either partner can start the process today.
Love is a choice. Start today. That's empowering.
It really is. And he offers a simple, practical tool to get started. He calls it the tank check game. Try doing this maybe 3 times a week for a few weeks. One person asks, hey, on a scale of 0 to 10, how full is your love tank tonight? Then, the important follow-up, what could I do to help fill it?
Asking for specific input.
Exactly. The other person gives a concrete suggestion. Maybe we could just sit and talk for 15 minutes with the phones away. Or a hug would be great right now. Then you switch roles. It's playful, but it directly stimulates expressing and receiving love in ways that matter.
I love that. It's so simple, but yeah, potentially really profound. It gives you a clear, actionable thing to do instead of just feeling stuck or misunderstood. It really clarifies why just being sincere isn't always enough. Thanks. This has been super insightful. If you want to dive deeper into these ideas and maybe figure out your own love language, definitely check out the links to the 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. We'll put them in the description below.
Yeah, and we genuinely love to hear from you all too. Jump into the comments and let us know. What do you think your primary love language is? Or what have you noticed really fills up your partner's tank? Share your thoughts. Let's keep this conversation going.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into understanding how we truly give and receive love.